Today, we're talking COVID. I'm currently sitting in quarantine in my house because I did test positive for COVID on Monday, Labor Day. As you can see, I'm a little congested. So right off the bat, I am not a doctor. I'm not saying that what I did will work for anyone else. I'm just explaining my situation because as I'm sitting here recovering from COVID and I'm looking up information, it's nice to see what other people's situations have been who also have been recovering from COVID. And I'll actually link some of those videos down below that I found very helpful for myself. So if you want to check them out, they'll be linked down below in the description. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not telling anyone that they should be doing what I'm doing or what I had done or what I do for myself at all. That's an individual choice between you and a doctor as far as what your health and your immune system and what you do to take care of yourself. So I'm just going to kind of explain where I'm at with COVID and the recovery process, my experience with it. I was kind of debating if I should even make a video this personal because this is kind of not what this channel is for. But after thinking about the overall purpose for our channel, so the whole point of our creating this channel was always to be helpful to others first. That's the first reason. So then after thinking about it, maybe this would be helpful because there is a lot of misinformation out there. And I know with COVID, there is a lot of different, it affects people differently. So I'm going to explain how it affected me. And right now I'm on day 5, so I'm halfway through the 10-day quarantine. And I will kind of go back each day, like step by step, and what the progress of symptoms have been. And I'm going to try really hard to not give any opinions in this entire video. It'll just be facts, and due to the politicization of COVID, this channel is not a political channel. We intentionally created it to get away from that because it's invaded everyone's lives so much. No decision can ever be made without somebody condemning it or somebody saying that you're doing something wrong or shaming each other. And we're just kind of fed up with that. So we wanted to create a channel that was kind of away from all of that. It gives us something to do, the peace of mind that's not political, that's productive and helpful to others. As far as the government's concerned, we may mention government. We may, talk about government at some point or reference it. I think I've already referenced it a couple of times in videos, but it has nothing to do with political sides. It's specifically a view on government as a whole, if that makes sense. So I digress. So now that the preface is out of the way, let's back all the way up. Labor Day weekend, 3-day weekend, off from my day job on Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I intended on working on our master bathroom that I have one video from months and months ago of the start of the renovations of that bathroom. And I finally had enough time, a chunk of days off, where I could get a lot more done. By Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock, 3 or 4, early afternoon, I would say, I started feeling like very tired, like more than normal. But I had just worked 3 days straight. I didn't really think much of it. I finished cleanup for the day, and then around the time I got a shower, the fatigue was getting worse and worse, and I was like, man, I am going to bed early tonight. But I figured, you know what, maybe I should test. We do have rapid tests. I know the Delta variant around where we live, it's prevalent. Our county positivity rate has been going up. I don't know what it is currently. I know it was around 5%, might be at 6%. But anyway, it was down to like below 1% before this next wave of this Delta variant came through. But anyway, tested with the rapid test. It didn't turn positive right away. It took the good 10-15 minutes for it to like actually show. So I don't know if that has something to do with the type of test it is, the brand that it is, or the viral load. inside your sinuses. Who knows? Anyway, it eventually became positive. So I immediately started quarantining away from the rest of the family. So day 1, tested positive. I had a little bit of a scratchy throat. Like, as you think back on, like, did I have any other symptoms? I did have a little bit of a scratchy throat, even like probably the night before, Sunday night. Just thinking back, like I had a little bit of a cough, or like I was clearing my throat. It was nothing, unusual. I'm sure you've seen in these videos, I clear my throat. I take deep breaths like that, because as I'm talking, I'm not an extrovert. I don't talk a lot all the time. I talk mostly at work, when I have to, because it's work related. And in these videos, I'm talking more than I ever have in my entire life. So I'm exhausting all of my breath as I'm talking, and then re-inhaling, because I literally don't have a muscle memory of how to breathe and talk so much, because I've never done it. So that's a little inside information, that I don't know how to breathe and talk at the same time, because I don't talk this much ever. So that night after testing positive, it was the worst night's sleep out of all the nights so far. I was very achy, tossed and turned, could not get a good night's sleep. I had a headache the next morning. Like, I normally don't get headaches at all, unless A, I'm getting sick, or B, I'm really hungry. So day 2, I wake up with the headache. I take Tylenol. It goes away pretty quickly, within a half hour. Never came back. Have not had to take Tylenol ever since. I did start with a slight cough. It was just a dry cough, probably from what I'm experiencing over the last couple days. I have a sore throat, so that was like the infection, starting to irritate my throat. So I was starting to cough. But the fatigue wasn't as bad. So the fatigue from the evening before in day 1, day 2, all day, I felt normal as far as my energy levels. I went outside, I took a nice 15-20 minute walk. So after the walk, we have an we have a pulse ox monitor. So I did take my oxygen levels. They were high. They've always been high 90s. I haven't dipped below 97 over the last 5 days so far. And then my beats per minute, my heart rate after the walk has never exceeded 135. So without walking, obviously it goes down lower. And as I sit there and monitor, it slowly goes back down. So what I typically do is every day I go for a walk, and then check that every day. And if I do deep breathing, so as I'm going for that walk, since day 2, I do deep breathing exercises. Sometimes it triggered a little bit of a cough, but no phlegm has come up yet. To this day, like this is day 5. I don't think it's in my lungs. I mean, I'm not coughing up any phlegm. I think it's upper respiratory, and hopefully it stays that way. I did take a little bit of a nap, I think, on day 2. So then, like that night of day 2, there was, it took me a little while to fall asleep. But I slept better than the night before. There was no tossing and turning. I do remember, even though I wanted to sleep in, I was still up at like 6:45. I still wasn't fatigued. Like, I felt the same, but I did have a sore throat starting. So the sore throat was starting. I did have more coughing in the morning. But again, there was no fluid or phlegm coming up. And then my nose, very slightly, I could feel some congestion. And when I blew it, though, there was no discoloration. It was just clear sinus, snot. So day 4, yesterday, I slept the best so far since testing positive. Luckily, it was a good night's sleep. The only time I did get up was to use the bathroom. So I am downing water, orange juice, and hot tea. I have 1 coffee in the morning, but these fluids, obviously, the more you drink, the more you got to urinate. So that's what I've been, every night I've had to get up at least once in the middle of the night to urinate. But that's the only time I remember waking up. And I felt great in the morning compared to like previous days and waking up. But my sore throat was still there. And the funny thing is about the sore throat, the first day that it started and the consecutive days as I've woken up with it, it goes away throughout the day. It's only there like in the morning, but it's not bothering me at all throughout the day. So still the sore throat, still some coughing in the morning, and then I get up right away and do some walking around, stretching my legs. I don't want to lay down too much because laying down will lead to pneumonia potentially. So breathing exercises, I do that in the morning too, whether I take a walk outside or not. I'm doing deep breathing exercises throughout the day in the room or while I'm outside. So no real changes from yesterday, day 4, from day 3. So the latest I had slept in was this morning. It was almost 8 o'clock, I think, when I finally woke up. I did get up. I think it was 5 a.m. when I got up to use the bathroom. And I remember laying there thinking if I'd be able to fall asleep. And then eventually I guess I did, because then the next time I woke up it was like 7:50, which was good. So I had another good night's sleep last night. I did have the sore throat again this morning, but again, that goes away pretty quickly. I've had a normal appetite through the last 5 days. Again, I'm just focusing on orange juice, vitamin C, water, and hot teas, and normal eating. I have had a normal appetite throughout the whole ordeal so far. And again, I'm on day 5. Quarantine's 10 days, or if I'm still having symptoms past 10 days, then quarantine extends a little bit longer. So a little bit of about me, I'm in my early 40s. I could stand to lose 25 pounds to be at, a better weight. I don't have any underlying health conditions. I don't take any prescription medications for anything. I rarely need to take over-the-counter medications for anything. I'm hardly ever sick. I'm just one of those people that, I hardly need to go to the doctor unless there's an emergency. Probably about 5 to 7 years ago, I did have some respiratory issues for about a 2-year period. I ended up with pneumonia 2 years in a row, once in one lung, once in the other lung. I had bronchitis, just like respiratory issues for some reason, and then it went away. And then I've been fine ever since. Nothing major respiratory wise. And I'm thinking I had started a new job back then in healthcare. I was typically working in an environment prior to that where there was fewer staff. We worked outside most of the time. And now I was in an environment where I was inside all the time in a petri dish around a ton of more people. So I was in a work environment now where I was exposed to a lot more. Day 6. And I am tired. Last night was really bad sleep. But I gotta back up because I forgot to mention yesterday, day 5, I did lose my sense of taste. I had it a little bit in the morning. I could taste my coffee and I had some fried eggs. And I remember tasting them fine. But then throughout the day, it was just gone. And that coincides with my sinuses getting more congested. So today, same congestion though. Throughout yesterday, it was getting worse. And last night, I think that's why I couldn't sleep, because my sinuses finally clogged completely. I went to bed around 11, and I did fall asleep pretty quickly, but I was up at 3 a.m. Used the bathroom, and then I could not go back to sleep at all. So I just sat up in the chair and watched some TV, and then I started dozing again by 6, but and then I did lay back down and fall back asleep again for a couple more hours. But it was, I'm sure I was tossing and turning too, because I feel like I didn't sleep hardly at all. I guess it was around 9, so a few hours of sleep from 6 to 9, and then I was so tired, I still tried to lay there to continue sleeping, but I couldn't. So within a half hour or so, I got up, did some breathing exercises. My lungs are still good, but this is all sinus pressure now. I did take Tylenol again because it's giving me a bit of a headache this morning, and that helped a lot. So by 2 o'clock, I was up and did my normal walk outside. It's a beautiful day outside today. So more breathing exercises, did my walk, came back. I'm not tired enough to like want to feel like I need to take a nap. My pulse ox today after the walk was still 98. My beats per minute were actually around 100, so they weren't even elevated from the walk as much as they had been in previous days. But I did want to go over my vitamin regimen. So I'm not taking any medications to treat COVID. I'm just on a vitamin regimen, which I've been on since even over the past year and a half. I've been on this off and on based on I feel that I may have come in contact with anyone with COVID, or if it was affecting our household in any way from like our children's friends testing positive, things like that. And then I would go right back on this regimen of vitamins. And this is all, just to boost your immune system. This is a regimen that came directly from a doctor to a nurse whose adult son, had tested positive for COVID early on in the pandemic. And this information was passed to Colleen's work. And then she, so we went right out and bought all of these vitamins, and we make, what we call the COVID cocktail. And we all started taking it whenever we felt it was needed. On top of that, I also take when I'm not taking this regimen, I also take a normal multivitamin that has high concentrations of vitamin C and D3. Those are the two things that I know are the most effective as far as your immune system goes. So the COVID cocktail is what I call it. It's one Pepsid, 20 milligrams daily, a low dose aspirin once daily, that's 81 milligrams, vitamin C 1,000 milligrams daily, vitamin D3 2,000 IUD, whatever that means, and then zinc 220 milligrams daily. So that is the COVID cocktail, quote unquote. That's what we've all been on as a family. Like I said, whenever there was an issue where we felt we had maybe come in contact with COVID, and that's all I'm taking right now. And so far, so good. It's a cold. When I had the flu a couple of years ago, it's probably 3 years ago now, prior to COVID, then it lasted about 24 hours. I had a fever. So I remember calling out on a Monday because it was a Sunday night. I had the fever, but throughout the day, Monday, I was feeling a lot better. And by Monday evening, no issues. I didn't have a fever at all Monday day. And then, so Tuesday morning, I just called, to explain the situation. And because it was flu season, they suggested just go to an urgent care and get the flu test just in case, even though I felt fine. Luckily I did, because I got there and I was tested positive for flu, even though I felt fine. So policy for a flu at the time was 5 days out, no matter what, whether you have symptoms or not. So I had a week off, even though I felt fine. So that was the last time I was sick with flu, and it was nothing. So this is obviously worse than that, but I've had worse. Hopefully tonight is a little better sleep, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. All right, we're on day 10. I missed a couple of days of updating, so we'll go back to day 7. Day 7 and day 8 were very similar. A lot of fatigue. They were probably the worst days for fatigue. My symptoms other than that have been improving, but on day 7 and day 8 together, like my head was in a fog. I think that's when like the sinus pressure really was like getting to its worst. So like some symptoms were improving, but the sinus congestion really built up, I guess, and peaked. I remember on day 7 and day 8, the back of my eyes were hurting. Like when I tried to look around and move my eyes, it was painful from the sinus pressure. So I was taking a leave at that point to help me sleep. It was really bad sleeps. And one of those days, I can't remember which one, I didn't even go for a walk outside. I was just so tired all day. I would get up, move around, do my deep breathing exercises, but I would have to rest, or I would get like a wave of fatigue and I would just have to sit down, and I just chilled for those 2 days. But at night on day 8, going into day 9, I did sleep like a rock. Um, I only woke up one time, I remember, and I woke up drenched in sweat. So whatever was going on broke, and that's not the first time that's happened to me with illnesses. I've had periods of illnesses where, I just wake up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, and then I feel way better the next day. And that's exactly what happened. So day 9, yesterday, my energy was back. I went for a nice long walk again, doing my breathing exercises as usual. Yesterday, I did not need to take any Tylenol or Aleve. There was no headaches or anything. I just have this lingering sinus pressure and this dry cough. It is day 10 now, and my energy is back. So I'm actually going to start doing a little work around the house right now just to test my longevity before I return to my day job. But it is Wednesday, so I'm off yet tomorrow, and we'll see how Friday goes. But I could have, the rest of the week off if I needed to, and then the weekend yet. So we'll see how everything goes. So I just want to do a quick update on my COVID recovery. It is day 12 now. I forget which day I left off with, but I have been moving around the house a lot more. I am out of quarantine. I did take an extra couple of days of work off because I did have some back spasms. There was one day where I had back spasms all day. It's probably just from laying around for 2 weeks and not doing a whole lot, even though I was going for walks and things. When I got up the one day, I started doing some more renovations in my bathroom. And I had to prepare some old used 2x4s, taking nails and things out. So, I was being more physically active than I had been for 2 weeks. So the center of my back was just weird spasms. And the only thing that would get them to go away was take some Aleve and lay flat, which I didn't want to do. But so I obviously needed some more resting time just to recover, get moving again, and get back into the swing of things. I do have a bit of a dry cough. That's it. I can still feel a little bit of sinus. I can breathe through my nose, but in the mornings I'm still blowing my nose and clearing some congestion out of there. But and I think you can hear it in my voice still. I have been back to doing work in my bathroom. No more back spasms. I'll be going back to work in 2 days, so I have tomorrow yet to do more physical activity. Because when I'm at work, I'm on my feet all day, and it's nonstop. I do have some paperwork and desk work and stuff to do, but, when you're recovering from COVID or any illness, it's important to rest as well. Not just, oh, am I contagious anymore? I can go back to work and not give someone my illness, but are you physically able to be 100%? And maybe some people have desk jobs where, you don't physically have to do a whole lot, or maybe you don't put a whole lot of effort into your job, so you can be at 40% and no one even notices. Who knows? But when I'm doing anything, I'm 100% focused on it, and if I can't be that way and I'm not my best, then I still need to rest. So I'm glad that I took off an extra couple of days outside of the normal 10-day quarantine period. And then there was also a weekend here, so there's more time for me to get my energy levels back up. So we are good to go. I did not end up taking any other medications. I didn't take any decongestion or anything like that. I just let things flow, blew my nose when I needed to. Hot showers, loosened things up and helped with that too. But other than the vitamin regimen that I've been taking, and occasionally Tylenol, and then towards the end occasionally Aleve for certain things like that, but nothing crazy. No doctor's trips, luckily. And just a quick rundown of the channel. Obviously, I didn't do a whole lot. I did do a movie review. There was some old footage that I had gotten through and edited, and finally was able to make some videos of that stuff to post for content. But we do have another trip to Dorney Park. We have the Haunt attraction to do at Dorney Park coming up. We have a trip to the PA Renaissance Fair coming up that runs through all of the rest of this month to the end of October. So it's every weekend through the month of October. And then Colleen and I have our trip to Florida. So we do have to do another update video on that to kind of show you what our plan is as far as researching areas to look at in Florida and what our plan is, as well as a few days in Disney to celebrate our anniversary. So there are some fun things coming up, and I promise I will shave. So if you want to follow along, subscribe to the channel, and here's to everyone else staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, last tag.